This is the new weekly outlook slash midweek market update. This week is going to be quite easy in terms of economic data points. A lot of yellow folders coming out in London and New York session. The red folders that we've had so far are the interest rates from Australia yesterday, where the interest rates were sitting at 3.85%. We were expecting a decrease down to 3.6, ended up just maintaining at 3.85. And then today we have interest rates coming out from New Zealand. We're expecting interest rates to be maintained at 3.25%. That's going to come out in just a few hours. So if you're trading Asian session and if you're trading any New Zealand dollar pairs, then that's what you want to be watching out for. Tomorrow, towards the end of New York session, you have FOMC meeting minutes coming out. Thursday, you have unemployment claims coming out in New York session. And then pre-London session, you have GDP coming out from the UK. We're expecting an increase of 0.1% from the negative 0.3% that we got last month. And then Friday, we're ending off with employment change and unemployment rate coming out from Canada. But other than that, when it comes to any sort of inflation, consumer, businesses, or any sort of central bank news, it's going to be quite an easy week because the focus this week remains on the tariffs and any sort of trade deals. So tomorrow's the deadline for that. We have already gotten from the beginning of the week the sentiment from the US Treasury Secretary and Trump that there are some deals that are going to be finalized within the next 24 to 48 hours. So we're just waiting to see if we're going to get any sort of clarity on the direction of which major economies already have a trade deal with the US, and then also any sort of retaliatory tariffs that are going to be enforced on the US from these big nations. When it comes to the US 30 right now, it is, from a fundamental perspective, it is very heavily exposed to industrial, autos, and pharma sectors, which are all tariffs target from the US and also internationally to the US. From a sentiment perspective, right now we are seeing a bit more of a risk off tone increasing, especially with the export heavy components that are vulnerable right now for US 30. From a technical perspective, we are seeing that it is rejecting off of the all-time highs at that 45,000 mark almost. And from a weekly and monthly resistance, just respecting that, pushing back down. And so let's mark off the current weekly resistance, which is sitting at that 44,700. And then the support, which is currently sitting right around here, which is going to be that 44,200 mark. So sitting right up against that support here and then drop down to the daily time frame. We have seen how price tries to break above that 44,700 in the past in 2024. Just ended up consolidating. We got some fundamentals that help push this price back down, correct that massive bullish momentum to the upside, consolidate a bit more, come back, revisit that zone here again, consolidate. From January 2025 to mid-February 2025, another massive sell-off. We get that massive bullish momentum that we are still carrying from April, come back, revisit that area, consolidating once again. Previous daily candle give you a bit of a top wick, but came back down and closed bearish, not really breaking the previous lows. So we're sitting at a very crucial level. We're sitting at a monthly and a weekly support and daily support here. Come on to the 4-hour time frame before looking for any sort of buying opportunities. We want price to respect a support here, establish a support here, and then continue back up bullish. By tomorrow's New York session, if we get better understanding about if there's any sort of trade deals that have happened, or if there's going to be an extension around this deadline of July 9th, and really expect more trade deals to be happening by the end of the week, we might get a bit more of a risk on sentiment for US 30, a bit more optimism in terms of market sentiment, which is going to help push this US 30 further up. If we don't get any sort of news like that, then we're expecting a bigger sell-off opportunity below that 44,200. Come on to the hourly, and we see that all of today, we really just sat in this massive consolidation, come back and revisiting into this weekly, daily, and monthly support. Let's head over to GBP USD, start off with the weekly. The weakness here still persists for the pound, and also with Euro USD, it's going to be the same exact fundamentals, with the EU and the UK being exposed to the US tariffs, plus the slowing global demand that we are seeing. So even here with the market sentiment, we're seeing that the risk currencies are currently under pressure, and the US dollar still remains bid as safe haven currency. So based off the weekly time frame, what we are seeing is that rejection right into that 1.372. Bottom wick rejection this week already. into that 1.352 area, drop down to the daily. So on the daily, we see that this is a consolidation support area before price pushes back up, comes right back down into this previous area of consolidation, makes a bottom wick, pushes right back up. That is where we get that momentum to come back and tap into that 1.372. If you zoom out, then historically you see how this is a very important range where anytime price taps into it, there are some sort of fundamentals that come out which help move this pair in one direction or another. So right now we're still maintaining this bullish structure to the upside, kind of just tapping into this area, more like a test of the structure at the moment. So right now we're just going to watch out for, again, any sort of news around the trade deals or anything like that. And plus CPI is going to be coming out next week from the US, and inflation and PPI, so inflation data in general. So all of that is also going to help move and find more direction for the US dollar. Based off the daily time frame, I'm also going to mark off another level, which is going to be where this previous daily candle has closed and this new one started forming, which is going to be that 1.359. So as long as price maintains above it, we can look for those continued buy opportunities to correct any sort of seller's pressure that we may have had the last couple of days here. And then when you drop down to the 4-hour time frame, you see that massive bottom wick rejection, came back, closed doji, but bullish here. And then the last 4-hour candle closed bullish right at that zone. This new one just started forming. So to make sure that we're not getting stuck in any sort of fake outs, what we're going to do is wait for price to break above this and then look for your buying opportunities to the upside for any sort of day trade opportunities. For quick scalps, you can look for a scalp to come back and reject into that area. But this is where you want to be careful, because if you're looking for longer term sell opportunities, you want an established resistance here and then a sell off from that point. Come back and target that 1.359 area and then a continuation down back into 1.352. For any continued buy opportunities, you want to establish support here and then a push back up. So all of that is really going to be dependent on the type of news that we end up getting tomorrow. Same exact fundamentals for Euro USD, still waiting to see if there's going to be any sort of finalized trade deal between the Euro and the EU and the US. So on the weekly time frame, you have that 1.178 area as that resistance, the bottom wick rejection this week already. 1.169. That's our range. Drop down to the daily, we see a break and retest right here, and then a sell-off coming right back down here. The previous daily candle closed bullish with a nice top wick rejection. So if you're looking for any scalp opportunities, again, it can come back up into that 1.178. You have some good buying opportunities there. Drop down to the 4-hour time frame, you have an established support down here, and then price pushes back up. We reject into that area, hold on to a support, continuation back up, pretty close to clearing out of this consolidation. So if you're looking for any buying opportunities, it's going to be above that, quite similar to what's happening with GU. If you're looking for any sells, you wait for an established resistance and then a continuation down. At each of these points, as price is currently sitting at monthly, daily, and weekly resistance and support levels, if you see that there's more volume whenever you are trading in whatever session, you can absolutely hold out your trades for a scalp that turns into a day trade or even a swing trade opportunity. But the point being is that you want to follow the macro fundamentals, which is any sort of news around tariffs and any sort of news around trade deals for this week, which is going to help you figure out what's the direction and which currency is gaining a lot more strength compared to the other. So right now, we're seeing that the US 30 is sitting at weekly support levels. When you're looking at GBP USD and Euro USD, pretty much the same thing with both of them, sitting at support and then pushing back up. And then with GBP JPY, let's start off with the weekly time frame. We are currently sitting at these weekly resistance areas that price is trying to break past, which is 199.5. And then we have a support right here, which is 197.2. So we're most likely going to see a bit more consolidation formations here, especially as we're clearing out of these higher time frame levels. And then based off the daily, I'm also going to mark off this minor resistance that price has cleared above with the previous daily candle. So this is going to be important, especially when you're looking for your swing trades or your scalp opportunities in your day trades. And then for your swing trades, you want price to break past that 199.5 and a continuation back up. Or if we start to see that the yen strengthens here a bit more, then you're going to see a sell opportunity to come back down into 198.6 and then a continuation down into 197.2. Historically, we have seen how price has reacted to all three of these levels as either resistance, support, or even just consolidation. Come on to the 4-hour time frame. We have a ton of consolidation right here at these highs. So we're just waiting for price to hold on to a resistance and then a continuation back down. Right now on the 4-hour time frame, it looks like a lot of wick rejections. So you drop down to the 1 hour, you drop down to the 30-minute, and we see that clear resistance formation. We are still, based off the intraday timeframes, quite bullish here. We're just maintaining that bullish structure. So we're looking for those short-term trade opportunities for that reason. And then above that area, you want to establish support and then a push back up. If you're looking for sells, then establish resistance and then a push back down. But until we get more clarity based off these trade deals, I am expecting the market to be sitting in a consolidation. USD/JPY sitting in a weekly consolidation as well, which is 146.7. And then I'm going to drop down to the daily to see where I'm going to mark off the most current support that price needs to break right now before it can head all the way back down there, which is that weekly support and then a push. So based off the daily time frame, we need to first break below the previous daily low, and then we can look for a continued sell opportunities to the downside. Here, the purpose is to narrow in the zones as much as possible to identify any scalp opportunities, no trade zones, and all that stuff before turning our scalps, our day trades, into swing trade opportunities. Based off the 4-hour time frame, we are currently holding onto a resistance at 146.7. If we see that previous low here being broken and then push back down, then we can look for sell opportunities to come back down into 145.9. And then if we see that level being broken, then that is a scalp turned into a day trade, which can turn into a swing trade to come back down into these previous support areas right here into 144.3. Right now, the yen is still quite passive, given the fact that the dollar has been gaining a bit more strength more recently, given the trade deals and everything like that. Based off of gold, based on the technical side on the weekly time frame for gold, we are sitting at 3343.8, which is that resistance on the weekly time frame, tapping right into that consolidation area here. We are still rejecting into the same exact level since the beginning of the week, which is 3288.5, or you can just do 3300 flat, either of those. Come on to the daily time frame. That is a very strong support level, as you can see, for a lot of this consolidation. The previous daily candle pushed all the way down here, rejected this. So same thing here. Before looking for any sort of buying opportunities, you want price to hold on to a support here and then push back up bullish, and then you have your buys to come back into that 3343.8. You come on to the 4-hour time frame. We're still maintaining this bearish structure here, still creating new lows, as you can see, even within this consolidation, lower lows and lower highs. But based off the 4-hour time frame, we have held onto a support here. We're looking for price to push back up bullish. As it breaks this previous high, we have a good scalping opportunity to the upside. And if price pushes right back down here, you drop down to the 1-hour time frame. You wait for an established resistance and then a push back down to clear below this consolidation. And then you have your sell opportunities to scalp down into that 3288.5 and then a continuation further down from there, using these minor levels to the left as your confirmation for how far your trade can run. So overall this week, we're seeing that it's being run a lot more based off of the technical setups and the market sentiment, which is that wait and see to see what happens this week with the trade deals. And then next week, we have inflation data coming out, retail sales data coming out, high impact news coming out during New York session from the US. The week after that, going into the end of the month, you have more central bank news coming out. You have the August 1st deadline that's coming up, which is really when all these tariffs are going to be enforced. So there's a ton of fundamentals that are coming up in the next couple of weeks that are going to give us good opportunity in the market. But this week, it's going to be more of a slow week in terms of economic data points. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out.